Now, for most of my life, I've struggled with taking action on things that I say that I want to do. I have a goal that excites me, I have something that I want to do, and I struggle with consistently putting in the work to get to where I want to get to. And to be honest, it's been very painful because it's not easy to always go through the same cycle of saying I want to do this and never being able to stick to it, never getting to that finish line, that goal that you so much desire, and you have aspirations to get to something in any area of life, and always feeling like you're going through that same cycle of sabotage. Feeling so bad about yourself, feeling so much pain inside that I felt like a failure, I felt like something's wrong with me. Why does everyone else seem to get to their goals and I can't find a way to stick to it? There was so much pain inside of me with that I've always tried to find ways, always reading articles, always watching videos, how to set goals, how to plan your week, how to do this, how to do that. But I realized like there's something much deeper going on. Something way deeper that's not allowing me to do what I say that I want to do. And what I'm insanely excited to do at the beginning, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, what happens? Why do I sabotage so much? So I've been fascinated by this question. So what I want to share with you today is more of the mental, emotional, spiritual approach to self-sabotage and what's going on at a deeper level, much deeper level. So I have a ton of notes because I don't want to forget anything of what I want to share with you. So I want to start with the idea that, of course, we all have different parts of ourselves. We all have these archetypes and we all have these different parts of our personalities. I am very shy in some settings and I'm way more outgoing at different times, different settings with different people. I'm insanely motivated and inspired at times, and sometimes I'm more lazy and I don't want to do anything. We all have different aspects to our personality. We're complex beings. So there's a part of you that, let's call that a saboteur, right? The part that likes to sabotage. So your inner saboteur says, okay, let me set another goal so that I can fail again and feel bad about myself. There's also that part of us, what's called the inferior ego. There's the two types of ego. There's the superior ego, that more narcissistic way of being, of wanting to be better than others, feeling good about yourself when you're better than others, putting others down. I'm not criticizing or judging, this is what I've learned and come across. And there's the inferior ego, the one that feeds itself, the ego feeds itself feeling less than others, inferior to others, putting itself down. So the inner saboteur says, okay, let me set another goal so that I can fail again and feel bad about myself. So what you want at a conscious level, what you say that you want, doesn't match what at an unconscious level that part of you wants. Maybe that part of you wants to fail, and I'll share something that will make more sense. The tough thing too is that the unconscious part tends to be stronger and more dominant than the conscious part. But it's okay. It's okay. That unconscious part, that inner saboteur, right? Well, it wants to validate how it feels about itself, what it thinks about itself, and how it sees itself. That's why I talk so much about self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-worth, self-love. but I'll come to that. But that part wants to validate how it feels about itself. So the cycle that we go through is fascinating. We decide, number one, we decide to make a change. We decide that I'm going to stick to this, I'm going to commit to this. This is the action step that I'm going to take to get to my goal. Right? That's the decision that you made. The second step in that cycle is that you stick to it for a little while. You start doing it, you stick to it. The third part is that the inner saboteur wins the battle and we give up. That's when you feel like, why does it matter anymore? Oh, it's okay, I'm tired, I'm too busy, too many things happening, and we give up. I've been there so many times. Maybe you can relate to that. So many times I've been there. So that's the third part of the cycle. So what happens after that? We feel bad about ourselves. We feel shame. We feel guilt. We feel like a failure. That self-criticism shows up. In my life, what I've seen, and with other people that I've helped, is that guilt, that shame, that self-criticism, that goes back to earlier in life, usually childhood. That's why I talk so much about healing the inner child. That's why so many people talk so much about healing your inner child. Because eventually what we do is we set a new goal. We feel that guilt and shame. So how do we fix that? Okay, I need a new goal. I need a new action step. I need a new dream. I need a new vision. I need a new something to get out of this shame, this guilt. Because consciously you want to get out of it. So you set a new goal, but we end up going through the same cycle. Coming back to that familiar shame and guilt and thing that we don't like to feel. At a conscious level, we don't like to feel that, but something's going on subconsciously that is taking us back to that place. And it's not fun. And what I want to share with you is that the cycle, that shame, that guilt, all this stuff going on, that's a symptom. That's not the root cause. That's not the problem, what you're feeling right now. That's a messenger telling you like, hey, there's something deeper going on here. There's something else going on. Yes, it's related to this self-criticism and guilt and shame, but it's way from the past. It's from when you were a kid. And this happened with your father or with your mother, or with your neighbor, with your friend, your sibling, your brother, your sister. And that unhealed shame, that unhealed guilt keeps bringing us back to that cycle. So like I said, it's a mess. See, I want you to see that as a messenger trying to help you. Maybe that shame, that guilt is something coming up so that it's trying to help you to go in and see what's going on. What's the gift here? What is this messenger trying to show me? What's the message that this messenger is bringing to me? How could I use this to my advantage? What is this trying to teach me about myself? And ask all these questions with compassion, please, with compassion. Because I've gone through a part of my journey where I used to ask all these questions, but beating myself up, being really hard on myself, judging myself, criticizing myself. You should know better, you should do better. But it's okay, that's where you are right now in life. We're all going through the same, we're all on the same journey. I'm sharing these videos also for myself. I need these reminders all the time. So ask those questions with compassion. Why is this shame and guilt showing up again? Where is there more room for forgiveness in my life? Forgiving myself for things that I've done. That was for me in my childhood, going back to that childhood shame that I felt, healing that. And I noticed improvements in many areas of life, which was like, wow, that shows you how that emotional stuff going on in the background affects everything else. So another question that I invite you to ask yourself is, first of all, how could I heal this shame? How could I heal this guilt from the past? So if you need to work with someone, if you need to do some inner work, some stuff, I invite you to do it through self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-love, self-forgiveness. I invite you to do it through that. But work with someone if you need to, do whatever you need to do, get the help that you need. And also ask yourself, what's the wisdom that I could pull away from this? Even if it's just as simple as I could be nicer to myself, I could be more forgiving with myself and with others, I could be maybe not so hard on myself, and see what wisdom you can pull out from whatever happened that brings you that shame, that guilt. And I can even begin to tell you how much growth might come from that. The stuff that I've healed, that's what I can help people now. When clients are kind of surprised about the things that I share with them, they wonder like, wow, where did you learn that? And it's from my own healing, because it's incredible the growth that comes up from that. Incredible the growth that will come from that. And I could make longer videos about this because I love talking about this. Sometimes I just want to make very long videos because I feel like no one's going to watch them. But the wisdom that you can pull out from that, it's incredible. And guess what? That wisdom, that healing that you've done now will help everyone around you, because you show up differently in your life. The triggers that you have with that person, guess what? Now you're a little more forgiving. And what drove you crazy about that person, now you're more accepting of others because you're more accepting with yourself. That person that drives you insane too, now you can actually be more loving towards them because you're more loving towards yourself. So this kind of work, this kind of inner work based on self-love, self-acceptance, self-compassion is helping you as much as it's helping everyone around you, everyone you come in contact with. So that's why it's so rewarding to me to be able to help people with this. That's why I like making these videos. Alright, so that's what I'm going to share on that level. And now I have more notes, more of the energetic spiritual aspect of self-sabotage. One idea that really to me was like a very good, like, wow, that's true, is that we all know at a deep level, we all know what our inner wisdom is trying to tell us. We know what our inner wisdom is telling us to do. I don't need to, whatever it's health or relationships or whatever, I don't need to give you 20,000 tips on like, maybe you could eat more vegetables, maybe you could drink more water. I know there's a lot of confusion because there's so much information in the media and online and books and stuff, and it's all controversial. This guy says something and that woman says something else and that guy says something else, so you don't even know what to do. But let's accept it deep down, at a deep level. You know what would benefit you. You know what will get you closer to your goal. So the question that fascinates me is, why don't we do what we say that we will do? That's what fascinates me. And at a deeper, in the spiritual community, at a deeper level, what we tend to say is that, okay, once my vibration, everyone talks about raising your vibration, right? Once my vibration is higher, no, excuse me, I did it the wrong way. Once I'm able to take these action steps, my vibration will be higher. So once I can eat healthier, once I can meditate more, when I can commit to meditating every single day, then my vibration will be higher. Once I can detox my body and eat healthier, my vibration will be higher. Once I can be nicer to people and this and that, be more forgiving, more accepting, more loving, my vibration will be higher. But the reality is that it works the other way around. When your vibration is higher, the choices that you want to make become easier. Because if the choice that you're trying to make feels like too much for you, but you really want to do it, but you can't seem to find whatever you need inside of you to be able to stick to it, that's a sign that that action is too much of a vibrational jump. If you let's just call it that, because I don't know what else to call it. Is that I don't know if I've heard that or if I just made it up, but it's too much of a vibrational difference, right? You'll be like going from eating pizza and fries every single day for 10 years to from one day to the next eating the healthiest diet on the planet Earth every single day without failing. Too much of a difference. So it works that way. By you raising your vibration, and I'll show you how to do that in a beautiful way, those action steps will be more natural to you. It will be more of an instinct. You will want to do it. You won't need, like I always talk about, that external motivation. You'll have that internal inspiration to do it. And that to me is the beautiful part. And what I shared a little bit in the beginning is that subconsciously on an energetic level, that the inferior ego feeds itself by feeling bad about itself. So we tend to pick goals that we can't stick to so that we can go through that cycle and feel bad about ourselves. So when I give you an analogy, so when we say, okay, how can I raise my vibration to be able to make those choices? How can I raise my vibration so that self-sabotage doesn't run my life like I used to in the past? Of course I go through it. I'm being completely transparent with you. I go through self-sabotage. Not too often, but I do. I can share more about that. I'm okay with sharing that. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm perfect. I'm sharing with you what I've learned, what has helped me, what I've come across that is fascinating and has really changed my life. But of course I go through it. But a way that you can do that, I want to give you the analogy of an emotional bank account. And the kinds of choices, you have that emotional bank account, and the kind of choices that you're trying to make would be like writing a check, right? From your emotional bank account. The choices that you're trying to make are checks that you're writing from your emotional bank account. So when you can't seem to do what you say that you want to do, it's because you're trying to write a check that is higher than the balance that you have on your bank account, on your emotional bank account. So this is really cool. I realize in my life I've seen these. When I say that I really want to do something and what's going on deeper, what's going on subconsciously that I can't stick to it, drives me crazy. And then I realized I didn't come up with this, I came across this analogy. And it's fascinating. So how can we make deposits in our emotional bank account? How can we increase our balance so that I can write that check, take that action consistently? And every time you compliment yourself, for example, you're making a deposit with self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-love. You're making little deposits on your emotional bank account, aka raising your vibration to be able to write the checks that you want to write. And a sign that you're trying to write a check that is more than what's in your balance. So a sign that you're trying to take an action that is more than what you're quote unquote ready for. I don't want to make you feel bad by saying ready, but let's just put it that way. I don't know how else to explain it. The sign that you're trying to write a check that's more than what's in your account is that you sabotage and you go back to that cycle of shame and you feel bad about yourself. So what I love about this is an empowering way to look at it, because now it's saying, okay, we know what it is. Now we have the empowering option to cultivate more self-love, self-acceptance, self-compassion, to build up my emotional bank account, raise my vibration, to be able to take the action steps that I want to take. So it's empowering. I'm not making you feel worse about going through self-sabotage. I'm actually giving you a tool, giving you a perspective that is empowering. So that's why I love this, right? So if you feel bad about yourself, that just means, okay, my check bounced. I wrote a check and it bounced because I didn't have the funds in my emotional bank account. Okay, that's good. And now I know, now I can do what I need to do to increase my bank account. And a really cool thing before you start doing this and you see like, wait, this is not working. If your emotional bank account is in the negative, right? Instead of starting at zero, many of us start in the negative. So when you start complimenting yourself, it's not going to feel authentic. But that's just a sign that you're in the negative. And the subconscious mind doesn't believe that as true, doesn't see that as true. But the more you do it, closer you get to zero. And when you start going from zero up, this changes. Now you can accept that compliment better. That's a good sign. Like if you can't accept your own compliments, don't be hard on yourself, and maybe you're too far down in the negative. But this is empowering because now you know what you could do to come up. So it's just a different perspective, a different way to look at it, a different pair of glasses through which to look at this situation, this thing you're in with self-sabotage, this cycle you're on, to look at it, okay, what can I do to compliment yourself? How can I focus on what I'm doing right and compliment myself on that? I've had tools. I had my program on self-love that has tools to help you with that. I have videos on my YouTube channel that help you with that. See the tool that resonates with you the most and use that. Stick to that one. And you'll see that you start coming up. So, and I'm going to be completely transparent with you again. This takes time. I'm not saying that 2, 3, 4 days of these, 7 days of these, 2 weeks, a month, and everything's gonna change. For me, it took a little bit of time. And guess what? I went down to the same overdrawn account. I go back and forth, up and down. I'm just being honest with you. But I know that the more that I do this, I know it works. I wouldn't share it with you if this didn't change my life and affect me in a very positive way. So the idea that I want to share with you is to give yourself rewards to then be able to do the action steps, the things that would be rewarding to you. I think of how like the smart companies now are rewarding good behavior so much because they know that it inspires more of it. Inspiring good behavior, rewarding good behavior inspires good behavior. So that's why I tell people to compliment what they do, compliment yourself, your own qualities, what you do, complement all of that. Give yourself credit for what you do. Show yourself more love and acceptance and compassion. How can you find new ways to make those deposits into your own heart? Because guess what? That's where your emotional bank account is. How can you find new ways to make deposits into your own heart? You need to write a list and start writing all the beautiful qualities about yourself. You need to stand in the mirror and just reflect back to you and talk to you and say all the beautiful qualities about you. You need to say to yourself the things that you wish you would have heard when you were a kid. Do you need to say to yourself the things that you wish you would be hearing right now from people around you? Don't wait for them to say it to yourself. How can you find new ways to make deposits into your emotional bank account? And just watch your life transform the more you do that. And you know what's funny is that this is very simple. And the ego and the mind want something complicated. Because we think, no, that's too simple, it's not going to work. But it's usually the simpler things that go a long way and provide huge transformation. But no, the ego wants something very complex. And I want a 21-step process to be able to get to where I want to get to. 7-step process so that I can heal self-sabotage. The 9.5 steps to heal this forever. It's simple, but it works. It will transform your life. So I want to leave you with a couple questions to ask yourself. How much nicer can I be to myself to be able to do the things that I want to do? How much nicer am I willing to be to myself to cultivate the inspiration to commit to what I want to do? I just invite you from my heart to ask yourself those questions. I invite myself to ask myself those questions. And just watch your life transform. I hope this helped. Much love. Have a beautiful day.